Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Mess. So today we're gonna have a very fun and exciting video for you guys today, where we're going over the Animal Crossing PC port one more time for a multitude of very specific reasons. One, we're gonna go over the HD texture pack, how to get that running on your system to make Animal Crossing look like a modern game released this year, not all the way back in the GameCube era. Two, to explain exactly what this is doing, because there is a little bit of a misnomer out there that this isn't actually a GameCube PC port but a Nintendo PC port. And third, to kind of explain how to get this running, because some of you have been having issues with it. Because when I did the initial video, everyone was absolutely excited about the fact that this actually occurred, and after I ran that video, multiple different big news sites picked up on the fact that this actually had happened. It is the first official GameCube PC port out there, but I'm sure we're going to see a lot more of them. But honestly, right off the top, if you didn't watch the previous video, it might not be as dramatic, but I will fade into the old video in just a moment. The HD texture pack available for Dolphin emulation is going to work 100% perfectly fine here on the PC port, and it really is a night and day difference. Now, you might like the original textures, you might like the HD ones. It is totally up to you, but it is available to play around with, and that is absolutely spectacular. But the one thing I want to address off the top is the misnomer that I saw in comments where people were saying this isn't technically a GameCube to PC port because it is the N64 version of the game running on GameCube. Yes, that is true, but not in the way you think. In North America, we never got Animal Crossing on the N64. They waited for GameCube to release, but that is a native GameCube version of the game running PowerPC code and utilizing all of the underlying hardware for audio and video that the GameCube has. It's not like it's running some sort of N64 emulator in the background, so it is still a 100% GameCube port, even if the game got its life started back on the N64. And right about here is where in the game that this dude makes a deal with Tom Nook to get your kidneys out of you, to leave you in a bathtub filled with ice. All jokes aside, everything in Animal Crossing always feels like 10% nefarious, like everyone in the world is out to get your bells off you in the easiest ways possible. But it's one of those things. This HD texture pack absolutely makes this game look like something that could have been released on the original Switch, not on GameCube or even N64. Because that is one thing about the GameCube version of Animal Crossing. It still has a very big N64 vibe to it. Now, don't get me wrong, that is a fun vibe, and it is one you might want to keep around, but you get to decide. Now, the second thing is people were talking about having issues building this with the GitHub directions, and the reality is you don't. If you go to the Releases tab here and hit the 1 tag, you're going to see all of the different compatibilities, all of the missing features, which are just a few at this point in time. And underneath that, you're going to see the 0.8 zip. That is going to be the executable for the game. So you do not have to build this from scratch on GitHub using different git clone commands and everything else. That definitely tripped up a lot of people, and I spent a lot of time commenting saying that there was a pre-built version out there, so definitely keep that in mind. You do not have to build this from scratch unless you really want to, and at the end you're going to get the exact same thing that that zip file contains. But going back to the HD textures, I think this absolutely looks 100% stunning, and I love seeing every single pixel here. And because it has a very big cel-shaded kind of vibe going on as well, this is the type of stuff that scales excellently. So if you do want to play around with this texture pack, I left a link in the description down below so you can grab it, and in just a moment I will show you how to set up all of the files for the Animal Crossing PC port. Because this is why retro gaming is making a comeback in my opinion. There's so many new fun ways to play these classic games, and honestly this brings it into an entire new generation as far as the feel and look is concerned. Now, I totally understand that, and I mentioned this in the previous video, that Cloud AI was used for the PowerPC to the actual x86 instruction set conversion as far as the code is concerned. Now, this is one of those things. I do not like AI in any sort of retail game. I don't like it putting people in the unemployment or laid off line. But in my opinion, there's nothing that's being lost here. It is just kind of getting the Charlie work done quickly. And again, this is a fan project, so you don't have to like it, but it is not inherently bad. Now, if you take a look at all of the files you download when you unzip them, you're going to see here you have the ROM folder, and that is where you're going to put the disk image for the actual build of the game. It's going to have to be North America and Canadian, just the US version will be perfectly fine. Drop that .ciso file in there, and then the game will boot up. But if you do want to play around with the texture packs, you're going to see a folder here called Texture Pack. Now, when you download that asset, you're going to have a nested folder that says to rename it. Just go into that folder, then drag all of these different files over, and then everything will work the first time you boot the game. Let's do the first soundtrack sample just for fun, then I'll explain how to get those textures preloaded. Now, in the previous video, I mentioned I heard a little bit of static in some of the audio samples, and the developer actually commented and said that that can happen. That's definitely something that can get worked on. But if you go in the options menu, you're able to kind of go around and change all the resolutions all the way up to 4K. You can do windowed, or you can do full screen and VSync. But down below for the texture pack, I recommend preloading cache. The first time you load the game up after you select this, it's going to take about 60 seconds or so to cache all of those textures. That way, every single time you launch into the game after that, it'll be seamless. There will be no hitching because that texture cache is made and loaded in when you actually boot the game up, and it makes a fundamental difference. This absolutely looks even better than the GameCube version in my opinion. If you leave me a comment down below and you tell me, original textures or the HD pack, I would be really curious. And that really is the fun thing. We're seeing so much movement in retro gaming. We're seeing emulation improvements, we're seeing PC ports, static recomps, and even decompilations, and we're seeing a bunch of texture packs as well that have existed for a while and are currently being built for a ton of different games. And the nice thing is, if there is a texture pack for a game out there and it ends up getting a static recomp or a PC port, more often than not that either works day zero or it works within the first week of these things actually coming out. And that is fun because it really does allow you to articulate whatever sort of gameplay experience you want. When I played around with this in 4K on my LG C4 OLED with the HD texture pack before actually capturing this video, and I will say it looks absolutely stunning, and I made sure I tested it when my wife was out of the house, because if she saw Animal Crossing, a game she's ever actually played before, at least on the GameCube version, running on that television, I guarantee she would have been there for 8 hours, starting an entirely new town. It's one of those things. I enjoy Animal Crossing, but it's never quite gotten its hooks into me. But Mrs. Esoteric has played every game from City Folk on up when I introduced her to the franchise, and she absolutely loves it and will lose hundreds of hours into it. And honestly, that is what you can do here. Now, I'm sure this will see more updates as well because it isn't at 1.0 status, and a few features like some of the NES emulation aren't working here right now. But as far as the base game is concerned, I played around with it in the background, and really outside of a few audio bugs, just a little bit of static, I did not notice anything in the game that made me think you could do anything other than just sit down and enjoy it and have a good time with it. And that really is the thing you should be doing with this. I see the comments saying AI slop, and I don't quite get it, because this isn't something you pay for. It's not anything you have to play. It was just used to kind of bring the PowerPC code over to a modern environment. And don't forget, people are doing this for free for fans, so if it's not something you're into, that's totally fine, and I support you in that. But some people get angry that these things even exist, and the reality is, there's so many games out there that already are using this same strategy. Some games that you have watched me talk about on the channel that you've loved. The only difference is you're not aware that it used the same strategy in development. But one more soundtrack sample just so you get an idea of what the sound sounds like, and a little bit of that static if you listen closely. And I'll be right back with just a little bit more Animal Crossing fun for everyone. The Animal Crossing soundtrack is absolutely a very weird vibe with all these dissonant tones going on. It's one of those things that kind of introduced us to a soundtrack in a game that kind of didn't feel like a soundtrack whatsoever, but all of these different combinations of odd noises and tones that kind of somehow built up to actually have a soundtrack vibe going on. So if you pay attention to this video, you'll be able to get the Animal Crossing PC port running. You'll get that texture pack up as well. And if you want to import a save from Dolphin, you can do that. Just pop it in the saves folder before you first launch the game, and it should automatically load in. This is definitely a fun project. When it gets updated to 1.0 status, I will cover it again. Leave me a comment down below and you tell me, have you been playing the Animal Crossing PC port? And what do you think so far? But short of that, I'm done. I'm going to go pay my mortgage, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.